This morning is Paul Sword, Navy veteran. Our guest today is Richard Pickard. He's a Vietnam veteran, U.S. Marine Corps, commander of DAV Post 43. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Richard. You joined the Marine Corps when?
28 December 1965.
65.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was a 4-year tour, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I asked the Marine recruiter what I had to do to be a machine gunner on a helicopter. He said, go in aviation guaranteed, so I did.
Okay. So you took your basic where?
San Diego, California.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I guess they only got two.
They have San Diego and they have Parris Island in South Carolina. And thank God I got sent to California.
Yeah.
I didn't like crocodiles. We had rattlesnakes out there, but still, usually there was somebody that would get it right quick, and then all the IT directors would come with their knives because they wanted the skin to make a belt.
Oh, is that right?
So they weren't as hard to put up with as alligators would have been.
Yeah, but you can see it.
Yeah, you could see it coming. Well, yeah, you could see this one coming too, the one we saw.
Yeah.
Well, the weather was a little bit more temperate too.
Yes,
wasn't
it was very good. A little bit warm, but very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I don't mind the warm. I like that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You served in Vietnam.
Yes, sir. October 1, 67 to November 1, 68. I was there during the worst tent offensive they had in
Is that
68.
right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed at Da Nang Air Base, and it was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
The bad part there, we were attacked many times, but since we were on the edge of the city, and there were people across the street from us, civilians, we never got the okay to fire back, and we were attacked many times, and lost a lot of men that way. But we never got the order to fire back because of civilians. And you know, the civilians weren't there at the time, you know.
They were intermingled with the civilians.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
I thought maybe they was lobbing motors in or something.
No. They were.
But they would
They were
direct
intermingling,
fire.
and they were right there. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Within less than the length of the building here.
All you could do is hunker down then, right?
That's it. Get as low as you could in the bunker and wait till it was over. Wait till they got tired and went away.
Yeah. They would fire at you, but they never did come across the street, did they?
Yes, sir, did. Our mess hall was within about 30 feet of the fence. And if the mess sergeant would have been sitting in his office that one morning, he'd been dead because they just pelleted the back of the mess hall. We were in there eating chow when it started, and somebody hollered, get the you-know-what out, and shut the lights off, and we all took off, and they just peppered the back of the mess hall.
You couldn't resist with tear gas or anything that
No,
way?
sir. No, sir. We were never allowed to fire back because of the civilians.
Well,
I spent 63 days as an MP on the front gate because I didn't like the gunnery sergeant was Sergeant Chop. I volunteered to get that, and we would go into the mess hall and get oranges and apples and walk across the street. There was a 12-foot high fence on both sides of the street, but we'd walk across the street and trade apples and oranges for bullets and whatever else the kids had that they wanted to share with us. And so we knew at least that part wasn't coming at us at night. So
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. The buildings is what these tin dome buildings, or
no.
you said you was in the mess hall. when
The mess hall was a regular wooden construction with a steel top, and then right beside it was the warehouse, same way, wood building with a steel top. But our hooches were all made out of wood and set up on stilts about 3 feet high, because in the monsoon season the water gets that high. Try to keep it off the floor of the deal. And on our side, we usually had anywhere from 10 to 12 men in each hooch. On the Air Force side, they had them portioned off in the middle, and one guy on one end, one guy on the other end. So we got to go over there and tour one day, and we got a little bit sick because they had all the provisions of home in their hooch, and we were all loaded together like a bunch of mongrels, you know. And
Yes.
it was a lot different. They have a little better feeling for this than what we as the Marine Corps did. But you remember, the Marine Corps is only a detachment or a department of the Navy, so we have to share, you know. My daughter went to D.C. Several years ago when her children were about 12, her oldest, and she came back and she said, "You never told me." They went through this deal, and a woman told her the Marine Corps was the department of the Navy. She said, "You never told me that the Marine Corps is the department of the Navy." I said, "I don't have to tell you everything I know."
Right.
And that trip helped seal the deal. Excuse me, for my oldest grandson, because he presently is in his 3rd year at Annapolis.
Oh, wow. Annapolis. He's getting a good education then.
Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, he is. And not that I have any push on him or anything, but I think he's already committed for the Marine Corps when he gets through. The Marine Corps doesn't have their own college, so we
Go to the Navy.
go there.
Naval Academy.
Yeah. Darn.
The Marine Corps is basically the fighting unit,
Yes, sir.
the infantry and
Yes, sir.
everything else of the Navy.
Yes, sir. We go in first.
Right.
Okay, you was attached to the air part of the Marines.
Yes, sir. I was in Marine Corps Air Wing. When I left San Diego, they sent us to Millington Naval Air Station, north of Memphis, Tennessee. And that's where they taught us all of the different types of mechanics that you're going to work on the airplanes when you get to the squadrons. And I chose hydraulics. And of course they got metalsmiths and hydraulics and electricians and everything, and I chose hydraulics. And we were there a month and a half, I think, getting our schooling. And then I was transferred to Cherry Point, North Carolina. And at Cherry Point, North Carolina, they had all jets. Remember what I asked for when I talked to a recruiter? I wanted to be a machine gunner on a helicopter. Well, there weren't any helicopters in our squad. We was assigned to VMCJ-2, a Marine Composite Reconnaissance Squadron 2, and our aircraft did not have any armaments. Our RF-4s had pictures. They took pictures and brought them back, and the FD-3, Willie the Whale, was from Korea, a leftover from Korea, and we put it into service in our squadron, and it would put pods on the outside for radar interception and jamming. So it was very valuable. We had this FD-3, we had RF-4B Phantoms, and we had EA-6A intruders along with this one. And if we didn't have at least one of those 3 aircraft ready to go with a bombing sortie at night, we would usually lose 1 or 2 of the bombers. If we had our planes up and ready to go and could go with them, normally we got all of the bombers back.
They could jam the radar.
So it was very important that we keep these puppies up in the air and ready to go.
Sure.
And we did a relatively well job, I think. When we first got there, this particular plane was the only plane of our squadron that had any armament on it. It had 20 millimeter cannons in the nose. Well, one of the hot shot cowboys, a captain, came in after his run and tried to empty the 20 millimeter cannons on the VC that was on the edge of the runway, and they shot him down. So our commanding general said, "That's it. Within 24 hours, all those cannons were taken out of the FD-3s.
No, it's not an attacked airplane.
No, it was supposed to be for radar jamming and intercepting, and not the fight, you know.
How is this plane different than the EA-6?
Actually, until we received the EA6, that was the monster.
This was the early version.
This was the early version, and like I said, it started in Korea. They had this puppy in Korea, and they've done a very good job. And then we kept it in line with us until the EA6A Intruder came on board, and we still used them together. Okay. Within a couple of years after I got out in '69, unfortunately. But a few years after that's when they retired this puppy. And
so
the EA6 took over. Because the EA6, you can bring a curtain down over the top and fly it just by instruments without seeing anything.
Yeah.
It's a monster.
They're still flying the
airplane.
EA6s
They're still flying
today.
the EA6s. And if you haven't seen it, you need to get the movie Flight of the Intruder and see its capabilities. It is an awesome aircraft, awesome. And they're still keeping it in line.
Well, that plane in Korea, was it used for the same purpose?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And they may have had more armament upon them then, because like I say, when we first got there, they had 22 millimeter cannons in the nose, but not for long.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at that one.
I noticed you got some stripes.
Yes, sir. I came out as an E5 sergeant. I made E5 in 3.5 years in the Marine Corps, and that's not too shabby of a shot if you stop and think about it,
No.
especially in the air wing. And the same day I received my sergeant stripes, I became NCOIC at a hydraulic shop. And by that time, I was where I wanted to be, because when I came back from Vietnam in 1968, instead of going back to VMCJ2, where I had started, they sent me to Jacksonville, North Carolina, New River Air Station, which is all helicopters. And I got the CH-53A helicopters, which was next to the biggest and the best. And they just retired them this year.
Yeah.
They just retired them this year. But
Okay.
all of our services used them. Because I was watching some stories on Vietnam this past week, and even the Army had some CH-53s. And I didn't realize that until I saw them in that movie.
Oh.
And so the Navy used them well, and we used them well. And then, like I said, I just found out this week that the Army was also using
Now,
them.
those are basically used to transport troops.
Basically transport troops, yes, sir. And you can put a Jeep and a trailer in the center of it and stack the troops on either side.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah,
it was a very capable machine.
Oh, lots of weight.
Lots of a great a lot of weight. You can haul almost anything you wanted into it, and if you stack it in the middle, then you still put troops on either side of it. And it's a very versatile machine. It was one of the easiest ones I ever worked on, as far as getting to the hydraulics and everything on them. It was very easy to access the hydraulical parts.
Was
and
that
tubes.
double rotor?
Yeah, no.
Single rotor?
No. Single rotor, a large six blade rotor
That was a big one.
with a tail.
Huge.
And it's the biggest thing the only thing bigger is a crane. And the crane doesn't have a body on it. It's just got to go
front
pick
and
up
back.
stuff and,
Center
but
is just a frame.
But the 46 is the one that has the double rotor.
Yeah, okay.
CH-46 is the one that has a double rotor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that chopper you're talking about that you served with, you only get in and out of through the side door.
No, we
You
have
have
a
a
door.
tail?
We have a door on the side, and then it drops down to load the Jeep and the wagon, and you get in that way too, in and out.
Oh,
see.
okay.
And if necessary, there were times when they used them to take paratroopers
say,
in. They could
paratroopers.
drop the thing and they could walk right out.
Right out.
So it was a very versatile machine.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoyed working on it. I enjoyed being the NCOIC, and I wanted to stay.
Yeah.
But I got married 4 months before I was supposed to get out, and she gave me a choice, her or the Marine Corps, and I chose her. And she only gave me 13 years. The Marine Corps would have given me 20. So, but the nice thing of it was she gave me 2 beautiful daughters,
There you go.
Good.
and I got to keep them.
There you
Because
go.
when she divorced me, she divorced them too. So, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, we buried her 3 years ago this month.
Okay. Some things are hard to take, some things are easy to take.
That's right.
Sometimes you don't know the difference.
And even though she divorced me, I still loved her. I loved her because she gave me 2 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
And
I
I don't
understand.
understand how some people can go through that
Well,
and not stick to it, you know.
yeah.
I think I read someplace that you was chosen the vet of the year for the service towards the other vets.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's our VSO at DeKalb County. Gives out awards every year, and I was a recipient of one of them. And
Mhm.
but I do try to help. I'm not only the commander of Chapter 43 of the DAV, I'm Commandant of the Marine Corps League Fort Miami Detachment here in Fort Wayne.
They're great.
And I'm Commissar Intendant, which is treasurer for the 40 and 8.
Yeah.
And I belong to the American Legion and the VFW. And I'm chaplain for the Butler 202 Legion, American Riders. And then I'm also department chaplain for 4th District American Legion Riders.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Great.
I try to do my best to
I
serve our
imagine
veterans.
that keeps you kind of busy, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
just a little bit, yes, sir. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, I just volunteered for this job at the hospital to coordinate the vans. So
Yeah.
now I'm helping them again. So, or yet, I should say, in
Okay.
another area, avenue.
Well, you're not only serving the military, you're serving after the military. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that's respected by me.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
I wanted to pull 20. So, since you
Well-
only got to pull 4, I put the 20 on this end.
Right. Okay. I imagine you know Dick Renbarger then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do.
Okay.
Let's see. Bill Hollinger.
I've not met Bill.
Well,
Okay,
Bill's-
he
Bill's
passed
been
away a
gone.
few years ago. Bob, I don't know, Bob Meyer was belong to that or not.
Well, I
I
was
know
just
Robert Bastion
Yeah.
is
I
one of our
just-
members.
thinking he was mentioning Marine Corps,
Yeah, sure.
and Richard Renbarger, I think, is
Yeah. Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
involved in the Marine Corps League.
Yes, sir. He is. He's our treasurer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Vietnam, you say you served over there?
Yes, sir. 13 months.
Okay. And you was on an air base at Da
I was on
Nang?
Da Nang Air Base. Yes, sir.
Okay. That was a pretty big field, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it was.
Humongous. 'Cause I think that carried basically most of the war effort.
Carried a
Big.
great deal of it. We also had a base at Cameron Bay.
Yeah.
We had to go down there. 5 of us go down there for supposed to be for 5 days to get a plane ready to fly back to Da Nang because they set it off the barge there instead of Da Nang. We wound up spending 2 weeks down there because it had to have a landing gear and it had to have an engine. Each time we
Okay.
got ready to pre-flight it, we found one or the other, and we had to call Da Nang and have them send us the parts, you know, and then in their air base, maybe not as big as what Da Nang is, but still they had a lot of flights going in and out of there for. But Da Nang was one of the largest ones.
And that served all of the different Air Force, Navy.
Now we had Air Force.
Navy come in and out. I understand
Yes,
that.
and the Air Force
Refueling
was
and
on
stuff
one
like that.
side and we were on the other. Marine Corps was on the other at Da Nang. Now, at Cameron Bay, the Navy was there, and I think there was an Army detachment there as well.
Okay.
And that was the nice part about going there for 2 weeks. We got to eat in the Navy mess hall. They feed us a whole lot better than the Marine Corps mess hall did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Navy was the transportation, so they're going
That's
to
that's
transport to
right.
their own troops first.
That's
Navy-
right.
The Marine Corps second.
That's right.
Okay.
I understand you had an accident there at the air base.
Yes, sir. That plane, that FD-3, my good friend Calvin Raguson and I were working on it. And we had to replace the arm of the front landing gear. There was two side landing gear, then a front nose landing gear. And he and I took a break. We went in and had a break. We came back and got under it and started working on it, and didn't realize while we were gone somebody had taken the jack out from under it. And he was straddling the wheel, and I was laying below it on a creeper, and he hit the over center lock and it came down. It hit me here and here, and it hit Calvin on the top of his hand, busted his hand. So they took us to the medical department, and they took me in first because it hit my head. I told them they shouldn't because they didn't have to worry about it since it hit my head, you know. But anyway, they did, and by the time they got done working on me, Calvin's hand had swollen so badly they couldn't do anything with it. They made him come back a week later and re-break it before they could put it in a cast.
Oh, boy.
But not right away, but in 2010, I had to have a plate put in my back in the L4, L5 region because of that crunch of that plane
The
coming
weight
down.
coming
on me.
down.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
While the plane was sitting there in landing gear, it looked normal.
Yes, it did. You know,
But as soon as you
soon
kicked
we
that
kicked that over
landing
center
gear
lock,
out,
buddy, down it came.
down it
And I screamed, of course, when it happened, and a bunch of them come out of the offices and jumped on the tail, while a couple others of them grabbed us and walked out. And I'd never heard this before until last summer. Last summer, I got a call from a man named Tom Driscoll, and he was in our squadron. And he told me over the phone, he says, I never would believe that you're still alive. He says, when we came out of there, your head was under that thing, but your legs was up in the air, twinkling around like that.
Wow.
And he says, I'll never forget that. And he's from Wisconsin. He was supposed to come down this last summer, but I haven't seen him. Hopefully he'll come down this summer. But I'd never had anybody tell me that before, you know. And he thought I died. But he was in Indianapolis that summer, and he saw my name as chaplain for the DAV, because I'm State Department chaplain for the DAV. He saw that name in the American Legion that he was at, so he called me that night, say, hey, buddy, what's going on?
Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully this summer I'll get to see him.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul says he has reunions with his group. You have
We don't have, unfortunately, and the couple that they did announce, I wasn't able to get to, because I take the Leatherneck magazine, of course, which is Marine Corps magazine, and they always list in the back of that the different reunions they're going to have that year, you know. And I've only seen a couple, and I wasn't able to get to those.
Yeah.
And evidently they don't have somebody that's assigned for our squadron to put that out, because if you don't see it in that magazine, you never know about it.
Well, right. Yeah. I had the same situation. In a unit from Seattle, Washington, and if they have reunions out there, I would never know it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've never had a reunion either.
Yeah.
On ours, they move it around to different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, they've been as close as St. Louis and Chicago and places like that. Of course, I belong to the Bonham Richard Association, and I get 2 or 3 newsletters a year from
Right.
them. And
Right, that helps.
Pretty well
too.
organized.
Yeah, they keep in touch. Yeah. Well,
I see some of them have their reunions at Branson, Missouri,
Yeah, we had one.
Yeah.
and that's pretty close. Boy, if you ever get to go there, go, because it's a nice place, and they have a wonderful World War II museum there.
Mhm.
They do, they really do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's quite a place.
I've been there, but I never knew that they had a museum there.
They've got a real nice
Okay.
museum there.
Okay.
I get someplace close to one. I usually try to see it.
I do too, myself.
There's a really good one down in New Orleans too.
Yes, they do.
Very nice.
Yes, they do. We've had our DAV national conventions there a couple of times, and I've been to that, and it's real nice, real nice.
Yeah.
I've been in Mobile, and they have a ship
Mm-hmm.
at Mobile. I've been on board that.
Right.
And I've been to Patriots Point in the Carolinas. They got
Yes.
a carrier there.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Charleston, South Carolina,
Yeah.
and
Home of the Citadel.
Yeah.
yeah, we pulled in there in Charleston and drove alongside it. And my wife says, "What is that?" I said, "Well, it's same ship I was on almost." You know.
Sister ship.
Yep.
Yep.
I think, you know, it brings back memories of
Sure.
what you had a part of,
That's right.
and that's important.
Well, they got about 6 or 7 carriers now anymore.
At least 7.
7.
They just, I think last year retired the Enterprise, the one my brother was on. See, there were 2 Enterprises. There was a smaller one before the one he was on, and then this is a larger version of the one. And I think they just put that to rest this last year, I think.
Could have been.
Well, CVA 65, was it?
C-Van 65, yes, sir. Yes,
That-
sir.
The old one, I knew they retired that and built a new one, nuclear
Right,
powered.
and I think the
Nuclear
new one
powered.
they just set aside too. I think I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that they set that aside last
Yeah.
year or this year.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thanks you, Richard, for being
Thank
on
you,
the
sir.
show.
Thank you, Richard,
Thank
for
you,
your
sir.
service.
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
You're welcome.
Paul,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you, Paul. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service, both of you.
God bless all of you. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, freedom is not free. So if you see a veteran or someone in uniform, just walk up to them, shake their hand, say thank you for your service. Thank you and good night.